Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are and when you're watching this. I'm really happy to be here with you again for this maybe fifth installment of this series, which is called Creative Play for Nature Journalists. And creative play started because I recognized that as a nature journal community, we have this inbuilt fear. Many of us have this inbuilt fear about creating art, and it can block us up. It can stop us from finding joy in this practice. And so my idea with Creative Play for Nature Journalists is that we would do some fun things together to help us relax, to help us understand and remember that this is for fun, this is for joy, and to get out of our comfort zone in a really fun way. So today we're going to do something. We're going to be drawing with our non-dominant hand. So I am right-handed and I've got my pencil and I'm going to switch it into my left hand, and this is how we're going to draw today. So whatever hand is your non-dominant hand, I want you to switch it to the other hand for our exercises today. It's going to feel uncomfortable, it's going to feel challenging, but it's also going to be fun and silly. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to see what happens. So I have a couple of things to draw, and I think I'll start with this flower, which is a weed that I plucked from my garden this morning. I'm going to put this one to the side for a moment. Okay, so this is my left hand. I'm going to sketch this. We're going to do a relatively quick sketch, and we're going to do it as a contour drawing. So this feels really awkward and funny in my left hand, but I'm just going to go with it. And I think you'll find that the lines you make, the lines are less uptight, and they have a quality that is really a little wobbly, but in a beautiful way, I think. I'm not sure if you can hear it, but I've got a whole flock of screeching cockatoos out the front of my house this morning. So I'm doing this flower here at first. It's hard for you to see, I think, because my left hand is covering the drawing. It feels very strange, but we're going to go with it. I'm coming along this side petal and the center. I've done a lot in Creative Play for Nature Journalists, another session we did blind contour drawing, and blind contour drawing is something I've done many, many, many times, hundreds of times, and it's become like second nature to me. It's actually quite comfortable, and I love the result of it. And I often start a nature journal page with a blind contour drawing that turns into the main feature of the page. But this practice is something that I haven't done a lot, and it feels less comfortable, but in a really good way. I like the feeling of not having control of my lines as much as I would like, because then surprises happen, and you get a line quality that's really free, that's really flowing. I'm doing these little leaves under here now. And we're doing a contour drawing right now, but you could do any sort of drawing. You could do shading, you could do hatching. I just decided to keep it simple today with contour drawing, but this can be done with any style. I'm going around here. I'm going to bump into the flower now, and I'm going to do this other big leaf up here. And I'm looking more at my subject than I am at the page, which is often a good way to go. There we go. So you could add color to it, or you could leave it just like it is. It doesn't have to be producing any sort of art piece. What we're doing is helping the brain and the hand connect, and just having a new way to do it, a new way to stretch ourselves and make some marks. All right, I'm going to put that one aside, and I'm going to bring this in. This is the Banksia pod. That's not the actual ecological term for it, but I can't remember what is. Can you hear that? Can you hear the cockatoos? All right, I'm going to do the same thing again, but I'm going to be drawing this new subject. This has got, I chose a tricky subject because I think finding a tricky subject is fun sometimes. I've got all these little, I think of them as mouths. They're these open mouths. And I'm going to draw the contours but inside the form. It feels very strange to do this, but in a good way. Sometimes stretching and not being in control is really good. Often in art classes, your instructor might instruct you to hold the pen or the paintbrush very far back. In fact, maybe that's another exercise that we'll do in creative play and a future creative play session. But the idea with holding your pen very far back is that you have less control. And that's essentially what we're doing here, is just taking the precision out of our marks, because unless we are trained at it, drawing with a non-dominant hand is really not a usual practice. Some people can do it. Some people are able to use both hands. Not me. How are you going? I wonder if this feels natural to you, or if it feels as out of control as it does for me. I'm doing some of these inside marks. I love Banksia as a subject. They're just so knobbly and intricate and strange. Here I've just sort of naturally started doing this thing that I love to do with a pencil, which is to create line variations. So if you press down on your pencil, you're going to get a thicker line, and then you lift. You're still touching, but you lift the pencil and you get a thinner line, and you can create some lovely interest in your drawing by doing that. And my hand was, I think I didn't do that so deliberately. I was doing it because my hand didn't know what to do, but I love those lines. I love those thick, thin lines that you can get when you vary the pressure of your pencil. Okay. I'm going to leave it at that for my Banksia. But you can see that the quality of these lines is kind of wiggly wobbly. It's kind of, it's got an energy that I wouldn't have had, I think, with my dominant hand. And And so I invite you to play with this practice in your journal. Also, we can play with, whoa, that feels really strange. I'm thinking about hatching and cross hatching. To me, that feels incredibly strange to try and do straight lines with the hand that's not my dominant hand. I'm going to practice that later. But again, we can practice the on-off pressure, the line variation, and we can hold a pen or pencil in a different way and get some really free flowing marks like that as well. So I invite you to see what your non-dominant hand can do, and let this be a fun, silly way to liven up your journals and get your hand and your brain working together, and just see what happens, see what you can do. I'd love to see your pages, and you can tag me on social media at Journaling with Nature. And thank you so much for joining me. Take good care.